All right, let's get right into it. We're going to take a whirlwind tour through the entire history of the T20 World Cup. We'll start from its, well, kind of humble beginnings as a hit-and-giggle format all the way to the global monster it is today. We're talking legends, insane upsets, and just the sheer, beautiful chaos that makes this tournament one of the best things to watch in sports.
So to really get why this was such a revolution, you got to understand what came before it. For more than 100 years, cricket was this slow, strategic, patient game. It was played over 5 whole days. Seriously, it was a game of tea breaks, cucumber sandwiches, and a lot of the time, after 30 hours of play, you just get a draw.
And then, this happened. T20 cricket. It's just a 3-hour explosion of pure action. The purists, they hated it at first. They called it pajama cricket. But the fans? They couldn't get enough of it. It was fast, it was loud, and it was just completely unapologetic.
Okay, so our story kicks off in 2007 with the very first World T20. And at the time, nobody, and I mean nobody, was taking it seriously. India, especially, was so skeptical they didn't even send their superstars. Nope, they sent a bunch of kids, led by some long-haired wicketkeeper named MS Dhoni. So what happened? Well, that young Indian team went and won the whole thing, in a nail-biting final against their biggest rivals, Pakistan no less. This tournament showed everyone, right from the jump, that T20 was the great equalizer. I mean, you had Zimbabwe, a massive underdog, stunning the supposedly unbeatable Australian team. Anything could happen.
But the moment that truly defined this whole tournament was this. After a little, let's call it a heated discussion, India's Yuvraj Singh decided to take all his frustration out on a very young Stuart Broad. He hit 6 consecutive sixes in 1 over. It was this iconic display of power that, as someone famously put it, effectively ended Broad's childhood on live television. Ouch.
And you really can't overstate how important that win was. India's completely unexpected victory legitimized the T20 format overnight. It directly led to the creation of the Indian Premier League, the IPL, which, as you probably know, would go on to change the entire financial world of cricket, forever.
So, fast forward to 2009, and this thing is no longer an experiment. Oh no. We are now entering an era where superstars are made and actual dynasties are born.
In 2009, you had Pakistan, still hurting from that first final, finally getting their redemption and winning it all in England. And then just 1 year later, in the Caribbean, England finally broke their curse of losing at sports they invented. They captured their first ever ICC trophy, and it was pretty much all thanks to a Kevin Peterson who was just on fire.
You know, what's really cool about this period is just how much was going on. We saw Sri Lanka's Tilakaratne Dilshan invent this crazy, audacious shot called the Dill Scoop, where he'd flick the ball right over his own head. We saw the Netherlands stun England on their home turf at Lord's of all places, and we witnessed the inspiring debut of Afghanistan and, of course, the start of the West Indies' famous Gangnam-style victory dances.
Speaking of those parties, in 2012, that fun-loving West Indies team, led by the one and only Chris Gayle, danced all the way to a title in Sri Lanka. Then in 2014, it was Sri Lanka's turn. They got a perfect farewell victory for 2 of their absolute legends, Kumar Sangakkara and Mahela Jayawardene. But the standout player of 2014? No question, it was India's Virat Kohli. An average of over 100 in this format is, well, it's just ridiculous. Let that sink in for a second. In a type of cricket where you are supposed to be taking risks and getting out, he just didn't. The guy was playing a different sport. Which brings us to 2016, and a final that I promise you will be remembered forever. It was the explosive, exciting West Indies against a very confident England team in Kolkata. And what happened next was just pure, unscripted, unbelievable drama. So it all came down to the final over, the absolute last 6 balls of the tournament. The West Indies needed 19 runs to win. That is almost impossible, especially against one of England's best bowlers, Ben Stokes. The pressure was just off the charts.
Carlos Brathwaite is on strike. The first ball from Stokes, it's gone. Disappeared into the crowd. 6. The second ball, you guessed it. Same result, 6 again. The third ball, another massive 6. And suddenly, the impossible is starting to look inevitable. And then, on the fourth ball, he did it again.
4 sixes in a row to win the World Cup.
And that moment was just perfectly captured by commentator Ian Bishop's legendary call. With that absolutely bonkers finish, the West Indies became the first and only team to win the T20 World Cup twice. Just incredible stuff.
Okay, so after a 5-year gap thanks to the pandemic, the tournament finally came back. And it came back entering its most chaotic, most unpredictable era yet. Everything felt a little different, and the results, well, they were about to get wild.
So, in 2021, over in the UAE, Australia finally got their hands on the one trophy that had always escaped them. Then, just a year later, on Australian soil, it was England's turn for redemption. Ben Stokes, of course, played the hero, and they became the first team to hold both the 50-over and 20-over World Cups at the same time.
But honestly, these tournaments were just defined by pure madness. The 2021 tournament was nicknamed the Toss World Cup because winning the toss was so important. It's also where Pakistan beat India for the first time ever in any World Cup. Then, in 2022, we saw Virat Kohli hit 2 of the most impossible sixes you'll ever see to beat Pakistan, and we had a bunch of giant killings. I'm talking Zimbabwe, the Netherlands, just total chaos.
And that brings us to the most recent chapter. In 2024, cricket decided to get bold. It took the World Cup to a brand new frontier, the United States. And you know what? The gamble paid off big time, producing maybe the most competitive and unpredictable tournament in history.
And if you want one match that sums up the chaos, it's this one. The co-hosts, the USA, a team made up of part-time players, including, yes, a software engineer from Oracle. They defeated Pakistan, a former world champion, a global cricket superpower. It is arguably the single biggest upset the sport has ever seen.
This tournament was also just incredible for Afghanistan's amazing run to their first ever semi-final. I mean, 2 of their guys finished as the top scorer and top wicket taker. But in the end, it all came down to 2 teams that hadn't lost a single game, India and South Africa, battling it out for the trophy. And in a final that went, yet again, right down to the last over, India just managed to hold their nerve, winning by only 7 runs. The victory finally ended an 11-year drought for a major trophy, and it was a deeply, deeply emotional moment for their captain Rohit Sharma and a nation of over 1 billion fans. So there you have it. From a simple gimmick to the very heartbeat of modern cricket, the T20 World Cup has given us some unforgettable drama. We've seen legends rise, giants fall, and a guy from Oracle become a world beater. The journey has been absolutely incredible. So that leads me to a final question for you. Was it that young Indian side from 2007, the Gangnam-style West Indies, or that dominant English team from 2022? Who do you think is the greatest of them all?